a very, very, very warm welcome from my side. And I think it is, if I look there, it's the last session of the day. Is this the last session? It is the last session of the day. Phew. Was tough yours, right? At 8 o'clock? At 8, we have the last session of the day. But that's something that you can fill in yourself, I guess, right? But just fresh, we heard it. So thank you for joining. Today, first day at the GCCM IoT Summit, and we're going to talk about the latest IoT technology, innovation and development, meeting the enterprise market challenges and opportunities. There you go. Again, a topic which is as long as whatever. So we have specialists here sitting for you. We have them all lined up, and I'll give them a quick minute to introduce themselves. And of course, because this session is of course with a beautiful, fantastic keynote presentation from Valentina from China Mobile International, which is also the sponsor of this session, and we're very grateful for that. So thank you so much. So the floor is yours. Please, a quick introduction round first, starting with you.
My name is Valentina Dal Borgo. I'm Career Sales Director in the CMI UK office. I've been with China Mobile now for 9 years, so I saw the whole process of starting the business overseas and developing into something quite meaningful. And we are now really covering all the product of traditional infrastructure, so from subsea to SD-WAN, Ethernet, data center, IP transit, etc., to the mobility part of the business. So everything that is SMS, voice, sponsor roaming, and now IoT. So yes, I think when I joined China Mobile, I really wanted to learn about this mobility part of the business. And this is what I'm getting now. So I'm really happy.
Okay, thank you. Ulf, welcome. Hello. As well.
Yeah, thank you for being here. My name is Ulf Morfeld. I'm working for Telefonica Global. I'm international IoT expert, and yeah, I'm just waiting for talking about 5G, etc.
Thank you, Arun.
My name is Aaron Dehiri. It's my third panel of the day on the similar topic, so I'll try to keep my answers a little bit different. But as you probably already know, I run a boutique strategy consultancy business called Red Dawn Consulting. We do everything to do with TMT, IoT being a major topic. We can't get away from it, but we kind of bring in a global perspective, including consumers, enterprises, devices, carriers, and how the whole ecosystem works together.
Okay, thank you. Sam?
Okay, Eric. Good afternoon, guys. I'm Sam Bao. I work at China Mobile International UK. I'm a deputy head and technical director. So I manage the technical aspects, products, solutions in the UK office. So happy to be here. Hopefully we can have some interesting ideas coming along in the discussion.
Thank you so much, Sam, and also welcome to you and to Arun. And yeah, Shabir again.
Thanks again. Well, my name is Shabir Ali Murtaza. Almost 20 years working for different telcos, and including the 10 years for the one of the vendor OEM. Currently work as a technology program manager and advisory role to the chief technology officer.
Thank you so much, and also warm welcome to you and to all the panelists. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to listen to Valentina, and because she has to share the a magic key to the new world, and full of opportunities and rich in visions.
Oh, well, welcome everybody. This is just a picture from the Mobile Congress, the China Mobile booth. Happy to finally see it again, because during pandemic, China Mobile was absent. So we really also had the chance to have a bit of a showcase on some IoT solution and 5G example, and also some innovative services like 5G messaging, cloud gaming, etc. Just a tiny bit about China Mobile. These are the latest data I got downloaded from got downloaded from yesterday. But basically, yes. So in terms of user subscribers, we are now at 975 million subscribers. Already around 622 million customers that are ready to use 5G. This number doesn't mean they are using 5G already, but is enabled in their phone. And then we have also achieved quite a big shift in the market for broadband, because traditionally we were always the mobile operator, but in the recent years, we managed to basically become bigger than China Telecom, and we are the biggest broadband provider in China now, with 274 million customers. And I thought for today, it was important to mention the roaming partnership that we have, which is for under 71. This is because it comes handy then when we start to develop from consumer roaming into IoT roaming. Yes, so regarding the IoT, so today we really want to focus on IoT. China Mobile Group as a separate company that is part of the group is called China Mobile IoT Company that already do, let's say, all the IoT development, starting from end to end 20 years ago until now, building up an ecosystem of over 1,700 partners and also making big progress on NB-IoT. So China Mobile IoT Company is basically one of the largest IoT private networks by number of connections. So we are actually, apologies for that. Yes, so we are, the company actually developed all the full stack of an IoT solution from the chipset and connectivity management platform. This is really, really the core of our business, still as we are an MNO infrastructure provider. However, we are also starting to develop with partners and some R&D within the company, also smart hardwares, operating system, and definitely the IoT application development platform, which is our software as a service platform. So let me see. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of, let's say, when you ask us what is the product, even if I really don't like talking about IoT as a product, but let's say we can just for easiness of communication with the customers, we can provide the coverage for the mobile coverage in China. We also are rolling out a global SIM, which is mainly supporting our consumer travelers outside China. However, we are basically reviewing all the contracts to support IoT. We also offer connectivity management platform as a service, both in China and outside China. Outside China, we used to have be supported by Ericsson, DCP. Then we have the IoT roaming and of course IoT solution. Let's go a bit into that. What can we do for you? Mainly, definitely, if you need anything in China and Asia Pac, come to us. I think this is quite obvious statement. But we are compliant. We can cover all the 100% of the population. We have different business model, depends on the need to cover China. And then in Asia Pac, we are really trying to leverage our IoT roaming partnership to be able to be competitive and support you in Asia Pac as well. Just a tiny bit about the connectivity. Yes, we also manage a lot of different type of IoT connectivity. So it's not only the IoT roaming, it's not only the cellular one. We are also, as we develop the NB-IoT, we are developing low power WAN, and then, all the cellular until 5G. But I think what is important to say that our platform, both the CM connectivity management platform and the SaaS platform, are built to integrate our device, multiple devices. This is very important message, because when you think about Chinese company, you might think that we only operate with Chinese hardware. That is not the case. And then also for the 5G project, we have experience with project even in China with Ericsson and Nokia. So not only Huawei and ZTE. What we did so far in terms of IoT, let's say solution, we can support platform and devices, is setting up our SaaS platform, which we rebranded as Ringa. This is the one net that we saw before in the previous slide. We set it up in AWS Dublin. It will be GDPR compliant. It can integrate different device vendors, as I mentioned. It can be white labeled. So if you have maybe a small operation or a small project, you can just have it as a service from us, and use your name in the portal and also in the hardware if it need to be. It can connect to the cloud of choice. This is also another important point, because you might, a provider, a customer might want to keep the data within their country, or they might want to use their preferred cloud providers, so we can do that. The Ringa, as a general, let's say, presentation to the market, we are trying to set up at least, a catalog of devices and successful story for Ringa home, building, management building, campus or factory. This is what we see as the demand from the enterprises. Also, we see fleet management and logistic. It could be, it's not only us that see this as an opportunity, but I guess having a lot of Chinese manufacturer or Chinese company that ship their goods abroad, this is kind of something very profitable for us. And then I wanted to give you an example of some cases of IoT already deployed, one in Germany, one in Belgium, where we actually have a Chinese customer with a big factory warehouse in Germany. For example, this is the case. And so we are having smoke detectors and also security cameras and access into the building, etc., all managed by, let's say the network is provided by a local operator. We use our own platform, and then we give access by API to the customer. So this is really to show how our Chinese enterprises will have demand in Europe, and we need your help in Europe to support that. Same for Belgium. For example, this is a case where we had a smart logistic park, both for internal monitoring and using LoRaWAN, for example, in this case. And we also have all the external deployment with security cameras and data for the details about the parking, etc. So these are just examples of Chinese enterprises. A lot about warehousing, I think, for Europe that we need to develop for them. So yes, these are the cases where we see the most demand. Also, agriculture and aquaculture for us, it will be very interesting for the future. Thanks to the scale of China, we have learned a lot about agriculture, how to manage agriculture project or a bigger scale, or even management of animals, for example, tracking of animals on a large area. So we can definitely help on that. And then I think it's interesting for this panel maybe to talk a bit about 5G as well. And that's why we say when IoT then becomes power from 5G technology, we get a lot more going on. So this is a video that we showed at NWC. Is I think just 2 minutes, so I think it could be good to see. Maybe.
向云端仰望，编织连接世界的网。 千万想，每个人可爱的脸庞。
你就站在山峰之上，你却依然心向远方。你多想在云中感受苍狼的梦一场。
你有热爱不已，你有澎湃的心，
在新时代更加精彩。
以未来之名，向世界发出邀请，见证这一场智慧触手可及。
像花将逝去，像美好奇迹，新的征程会有新的壮举。
以未来之名，让你我一路同行，最爱的伙伴共度朝夕风雨。
不管你在哪里，都能够感应最亲切的、最期待的和未来连接的声音。
Yeah, so I know this video can raise a bit of a comment saying, oh, well, this China is always first, is always best on this the technology development. My message here to you is really like, we've been there before. We developed the 5G from scratch. We made a lot of mistakes. We learned a lot of things. So talk to us, because we can, you know, help you to develop successful business cases. We can help you to, yeah, to basically, we can perhaps can tell you what works and what maybe works a bit less. So this is really the main message from our team, from us. Use us as more of a technology partner. And all this 5G, as I mentioned before, is done also by Ericsson and Nokia equipment, which is more popular in Europe. In NWC, we showcase, for example, the Internet of Vehicles, also smart port. We really had many projects for smart port in China and on a really, really big scale. So definitely we have a lot of solution from monitoring, from unmanned transport to security drones. Definitely some is more, we can have more details about this from a technical point of view, so that would be interesting to have a chat for. And also what we see for 5G is, could be a user case, could be also the smart mining. This is mainly because you might have unmanned tracking, and in some cases the 4G is not powerful enough to work maybe on a deep, let's say deep underground, or for immediate command of the trucks and machines. This is other application that we see as, of course, of successful stories, which makes 5G and IoT. Even on this, there is always an element on IoT. So as we mentioned this morning, we cannot get rid of this IoT even if we want to. So yes, you know, for this case, let's say we can help you to develop your project in your own soil. Or if you have VIP customers that have, you know, operation in China or in Asia Pac, let us know and we can deploy for them over there. Yeah, I wanted to really go a bit on a philosophical side, if I have a few more minutes. But basically, I think the main message of China Mobile CEO this year at NWC was, we are at the beginning and we still need to build up all this digitalization. This will become a forest full of opportunities if we can build it properly. And I think we had two speeches. One was online, let's say virtual, by the chairman, which presenting himself on a metaverse video, let's say. And then we had our CEO of China Mobile present on site. So I think it's very important to see what is the main message from China Mobile for the people who are interested, but also because it gave, I think, some answer of what is perhaps to some problems that are already happening. They are happening now in Europe with the development of 5G and digitalization. So I think the China Mobile CEO mentioned 5 main points that we need to work on for the future. One is really upgrade to a new network. The network we have now is not capable to support the new services. We need to change it. And that's why a lot of you are also going through, a lot of different new services, different type of managing the network, and is a big, it's a big issue. And on this part of the business is basically mentioned, we need connectivity, we need to add help, basically use all the computing force and capabilities, the abilities that we were speaking about that before, into the network. And for us, is already building application on 5G, metaverse, and is mentioning the industrial IoT, especially for this point. A second point is really we need a new operation. So for here, they see as a potential say improvement for the future to make everything that is repetitive and easy to deal with done by machine. So that will surely help some of the repetitive and non, let's say, it could help in customer service, network operation, and maintenance and marketing, for example. So we are already working with, let's say, digital employees on this. So definitely the operation of the company has to be much agile and quick. Also, China Mobile is working on new Sci-Tech, so science and technology put together. And this is really teaming up with industry, professional academia, research institutions. And this is to lead, to continue innovating, to get all the new requests and technology out there and try to basically productize them. He mentioned about new products, and this is really a change of the people, of the user. The people now, sometimes they live more a digital life than a real life. It's sad to say, but this is what we see maybe with our kids. If they could be the whole day in their digital world, they would. So this will create also, let's say, new type of product, new type of ideas we need to have, and probably we need to let the young people talk and see what they see, what they need, what is missing for their day-to-day life. And on this part, you really mentioned the smart factory, smart life, and smart city as the business model for the future. And then as last, I think the new ecosystem. Yeah, so this is really where, he mentioned that China Mobile is working on, in setting up the standards, new technology standard for the industry, is also helping to, let's say, create new services that will be global. And then you also mentioned about the sustainability. So this is kind of the strategy and what China Mobile is going through. Yes, I just wanted to close with showing just a screenshot of the digital cell coming, appearing during the presentation. And then the fact that China Mobile chairman mentioned Guglielmo Marconi, which is Italian. He was the inventor of the, let's say, the wireless access for the radio. And so I thought I closed this on a private personal note, saying that, you know, our chairman of China Mobile mentioning an Italian engineer to close this presentation. So that was really, I don't know, moving for me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, did we all digest this, guys? Did we all follow it? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Valentina. Really appreciate it. And thank you, China Mobile International, of course, for sharing all this information with us. Are there any questions for Valentina so far? Or was it more than clear? Normally I get something like, coming. Okay. So thank you so much. So Valentina, thank you so much. And of course, if you want to learn more from China Mobile, I mean, Valentina's here coming today. So she's always there, and the whole team. So thank you again. All right. So moving immediately in there. 5G was mentioned, right? So and especially 5G and the private networks and blah, blah, blah. Sam, if I may ask you, what is your take on it? I mean, you know, and which role can 5G play in the private networks and IoT solutions being introduced to the market by the players? So what can you share with us?
Sure. You know, as Valentina said, as a China Mobile, we're trying to obviously monetize the 5G investment. So investing so much in 5G infrastructure, taking it back, is a bit challenging, to be honest with you. And all the carriers probably knows that the development of the 5G can tell the investment, the return. Western carriers more concerned about costs. Probably one of the costs is 5G development in Europe is fairly relatively slow. Now, in China, we actually we find that depend on the B2C market, the return of the 5G is difficult. So we are trying to open the other stream. What we did quite big is in private networks. So private networks in China, there are different options, different ways to achieving. We primarily did network slicing, enable all different industries. Valentina, introduced smart port, smart factories. And one of the use cases in battery manufacturers, they got plants all over China. We did the network slicing private network for them, smart factory. They need 5G. So that's the important thing. The 5G has advantage of as critical for enabling smart factory in this particular deployment. So we actually enabled 5G in their factory or multiple plants across China. Then we actually build a virtual network with 5G around it. So the latest one, we actually enabled the same one in Germany. We built the 5G network for them, enable them to link back to their mainland China sites. So that's drastically improved their efficiency in terms of these smart factory. Now, this is what we did with the private network, with the IoT, 5G, characteristics of it, mass connection, reliable speed. In many applications, it's not replaceable, compared to alternatives, say wireless Wi-Fi thing. So, end of the day, in the IoT development wise, I think 5G will play a critical role, and depends on the application, user or the and business. 5G will enable a lot of application where wouldn't be achievable otherwise using a different technology. So this is what I take on this.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. let me go through a little bit, and a little bit also for the audience to get a bit more grip on it, maybe, and to structure it. I mean, you've been talking already, I mean, and Ulf as well, and Shabir as well, the whole day about IoT, and a lot of things passed by, yes or not in depth, not in depth. But I don't, from your point of view, want to see, I mean, you work on a number of IoT projects for your customers. So, but on the IoT technological innovation and development, can you give us an overview what you see? I mean, you're not working for you work for everybody, you know, and you have this global helicopter view with Red Dawn consultancy. So, what do you see? What can you share with the audience? What should they look out for?
Okay, so I think to make this happen, to achieve some of the opportunities that we discussed in previous panels, and I'm sure we'll discuss now, I think we need a proper infrastructure ecosystem, shall we say? So I think that the first kind of let's say interface that we need to kind of get right is the connectivity between the network and the service providers. Okay, and then the second level is between the service providers and the enterprises. In some cases, the enterprises go straight to the networks, but I think that the thing that's missing is the platform piece is not elegant and it's not clear. Right? How do I connect? Who do I connect to? Should I go direct to a carrier? Should I go to a service provider? Okay, so I think from a technological perspective, I think we need some clear sort of open API frameworks. We need some clear connectivity, sort of almost as a service model. So, you know, not quite UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, but the same concept, right? And I think that what we want to also recognize is that there is no one size fits all solution. And therefore the technology needs to recognize that, okay? So what I mean by that is, if we've got to tailor the solution for example, one use case is a local solution where we need in-country connectivity, static, resilience, low power, for example, smart cities. The next one is going to be high bandwidth, and that's to link back to the 5G. You know, I think in these conferences, we don't talk enough about use cases and who wants this stuff, right? What's the market size? Yeah. And I think that's the error we all make, right? And I think that from my point of view, is it high bandwidth? And I think the other thing is it critical? So there's the use cases there are going to be things like the health, military sector, the healthcare sector. We're seeing CBRS in the UK. Those sorts of use cases which need resilience and high bandwidth, that's where the private networks will come in. Not everyone needs, car manufacturers have started to do this. They want their own streaming services. And then lastly, I think in terms of infrastructure, I think we need to look at from a platform perspective, is if we're looking at a company that needs multiple bearers, so satellite, low power, Wi-Fi, cellular, and they need multiple geographies, they can't go to a carrier. They need to go to a service provider with a good platform that integrates it all for them. That's my sort of advice.
All right. Ulf?
Yeah, I would say 5G is just the last part right now on a journey, because from our perspective and experience is like, if you build up a 5G network, that means you start with narrowband IoT in there, LTE, LTM, 3G in Europe is dead, so 4G, LTE, and then 5G, and as you mentioned, Europe is not right now as fast as China is, and we have also, we have already several use cases, especially in the automotive sector. Telefonica Germany just realized, maybe you heard about that Factory 56. It's from Mercedes-Benz, where they built the most expensive cars, the AMG platform. That means they asked us to support, to create efficiency production. So in this case, they use AGVs to bring special parts to special areas. and they're working with a digital twin, and therefore this means that each car which is going to be produced, it's going to be produced manually. So every worker right away knows exactly what he has to do, and therefore they asked us to build up a 5G network. This is just one case, but there are different cases of 5G, how you consider that. Like when you're talking to other automotives, they build their own 5G network for driving. They have their own. Porsche does it in Leipzig. They have their 5G network built up for just for testing and autonomous driving. So, and then we have these campus networks or network slicing, and they are just different use cases. And the thing is, 5G will help us, but 5G is just one part of, from carrier point of view, what kind of networks do you offer? And so far, I would say 5G is mainly driven in Europe by telephones, because these are existing and they can use 5G in terms of streaming, but hardware-based, we are not so far. Or it will come, but it takes a little while till we really have 5G solutions for customer developed.
Thank you. What do you think? Where do you see the latest technological innovations and then developments coming from, or where should they go? What is, you know, what's your take on that? What do you see around you?
Okay, well, from my side, as again from this service provider, connectivity service provider, it's a different perspective, right? So, so what we mainly look for, again, maybe I'm repeating this one. We are in a different market landscape. We've been very well regulated by the government, and suddenly you comes in to know that you have to roll out your 4G to the 5G. It does not make any business case for us, but it's, you have to no other option to comply with it. So it's a government driven decision as well. So we as a 5G in terms of innovations, well, that's secondary for us. We as a profitable organization, we want to make profitability and return of capital, invested capital. So I agree with that there's no hopes to at the moment for the B2C segment. It's only the enterprise segment, the B2B market. So we have done few government level collaborative projects that went very well so far, and that's what we're looking for. Now, maybe I'm wrong here, but glad to be wrong. So far, 5G, we haven't seen yet any use case in the market, maybe in the future, but 4G somehow it served the purpose. 4G is so far it's played. I mean, the basic connectivity is being provided, and maybe in the 5G will definitely leverage it. We are, I mean, in the modernization of the network, that's what's happening in the whole region. Now, I might explain like it comes to two different views when you're a national carrier in the country and when you're not a national carrier in the country. So it's a two different perspective. Let's say we work with 11 countries. So first one, Doha, we as a national carrier. The focus is to seamless commodity service provider. When it goes to the other countries, when you're not national carrier, you are survival mode. So here you need to make your, I mean, your EBITDA and your revenue and profitability intact. You have to be very business oriented mindset. So again, apology, but innovation comes to secondary, but that's, we have a solvency and the survival of the key numbers.
All right. Security. Guys, we don't talk enough about security. We face new challenges for the cybersecurity. I mean, and how will new technologies like IoT, big data, 5G, 6G, AI, name it, change the security arena in a sense that, or in what impact can it have in the fight actually between, which we know, the attackers and the defenders. So, Sam, what can you tell us about that? How can we tackle it? Because
it's massive.
Will we always be behind?
I think we are always behind, to be straight on this. You know, IoT devices, sensors massively deployed, you know, even in the homes and everywhere. There are small devices. I think security just not there. defender is not there. You know, these devices and very weak security can be easily hacked. You know, imagine the zombie network that created DDoS. Well, that was big, you know, before the IoT era. Now they can have all these devices. You potentially can have all those devices being hacked without knowledge. The DDoS is going to be ever greater. So I think industry as a whole, it needs some, you know, standard really to address these kind of potential threat. I think the threat is real. You know, this with the deployment, without these quick actions, the device is just going to be out there. You know, day by day, it's the potential threat is going to be bigger and bigger. So that's from the, you know, and the device perspective. Also from the platform perspective, we've got thousands of the IoT platform out there, thousands literally, different sizes, different vendors, security policy just so different. It's more or less a cloud platform, and some of them integrate different software solutions, right?
So, okay. I would like to know what to do. What can I do? Give me an example. What can I do? I have, what is it? 15 devices in my house, right? Could be 20. I don't know. I know somebody is sitting here. He has, I think, 200 devices in his house. So what should we do? Just make it tangible. Is it possible?
I think, look, you know, from your device
Big
at
fans?
home, no idea from your device at home.
Right.
But as a platform,
Yeah.
As this platform, especially like GCCM, this comes from education, you know, you know, to raise the message, you know, to the industry. All the peers other peers are here. I personally, I think it's a great threat, but this does need industry from the device manufacturer, from providers of the platform, from the app developers. These needs to be industry efforts.
As it sounds as if that will be impossible.
It's
I mean,
in the IoT space, yeah. Unless somebody, you know, there's big news coming around, then people suddenly, you know, government seems to be regulated and worried and starting to make some regulations and requirements, you know,
which always come afterwards, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Arun or Ulf?
Yeah. So do you want to go first?
Doesn't matter. Well, I can start. I think a big point is certification of devices. What we figure out right now in the European market, we're talking to customers, and they said like, "Oh, look, I get these certifications, I get these devices," and we say, "Look, there's a standard from the 3GPP. There will be higher service level agreements of reaction time, and the telco operators, they're working already closer to each other because we're facing all the same problem. If we get hacked, we will lose. We have difficulties to find a fast solution. So certifications in terms of really good hardware. I mean, there's you buy a track and trace device, you can buy it for $30. You can buy it for $400. So there for sure is a difference. And some people say, "Oh, my budget is that small," so that can be also a risk. That is a risk for the customer, and that is also a risk for the mobile phone operator. And so we have to educate them and tell him the pros and the cons and the in and the out, what he has to consider. And that is an important story that we have to do all together. It's not just one company responsible for that. That works also for the cloud business. And this has to do also with partly national law, what we have to consider, or European law. I think this is the way forward to go ahead to make that thing work partly.
Okay, so just to build on your point, because you mentioned one point I was going to mention about out of the box solutions, but after the box, not a term, but I made that up. Solutions is basically some platform driven strategies that we're witnessing. So for example, we call MDM for short, but mobile device management solutions, specifically alerting and monitoring. So you need real-time connectivity. So the carriers need to offer that to be able to provide real-time alerts. And then what you're going to do about it. So the ability to shut the device off straight away if it's been stolen. The second level is on data. So managing data, the security of that and who owns it, right? But I think that, Sam, you mentioned something which I think is could be very profound, but I think we need to really focus on that, which is education, right? So I think that and I've been in the industry for far too long. I think probably almost 30.
2.5 years now, right?
Yeah. Well, I might sound like that, but about 30 years. And when I write my book, which I will do very soon,
Will I be in there?
you'll be in there, of course, front cover. Yeah. So how not to do it? No.
Don't buy it. By the way, it will be there for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
In the shops.
So it will be about the fact that we as an industry have failed on one major topic, and that is protection of consumers, right? And what I mean by that is I've been involved in so many strategy meetings where it's push this to kids, get them hooked, right? Don't care about them being hacked or so I have children, and 2 of my daughters have been severely hacked in terms of their devices, and it's very worrying coming from the industry. What do we do about it? Nothing. Right? What is regulation doing about it? Virtually nothing. We did a massive regulatory project in the Middle East, and there was absolutely no consideration for consumer protection. It was all about how we're going to make more money. And I think that we as an industry, if there's one thing I would say, if I could preach, is that we need to do more to educate and do something about it. It starts from out of the box, as you say. We need to take responsibility, manufacturers, SIM manufacturers, platforms, service providers, metaverse providers, social media platform, all of this. And when it comes to things like healthcare and critical communications, that mindset needs to seep into that, and it's just not there.
When will it come? Because it still sounds like a mess. It still sounds like a mess, guys. It still does. So education is one. Okay, coming together, working together, partnering up, making sure with the best intentions. But Arun, as you mentioned before, nobody cares about even good intentions, right? It's just making the money. Just wanted to give you just a little different look on it, because we're talking about the most beautiful things and all the panels and how fantastic is this and whatever. But there are threats, and I think the threats aren't, let's say, on our eyeballs as it should be. And I think that we just gave you the example that it's still a mess out there. So take care about your children and your devices and how you play with it or you don't play with it. But
I think there are laws, but I think we as companies should employ.
Yeah, but you know what? If I drive a little bit fast with this guy who is also a racer, and we drive a bit too fast, we don't care, because okay, then the fine will come.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
the same logic.
Exactly.
It's the same
100%.
logic.
But I think that my advice also is to employ very good expert, because the hackers are way ahead of us, right? We can't keep up. So as soon as we built the technology, someone's figured out how to hack it, right? We put parental controls in place. Within 10 minutes, the kids have hacked it. We haven't got a clue how to. So I think the point I'm making is that we need people younger, more intelligent, more forward-thinking people who can help us to figure out what's coming down the line in these attacks.
So enough room for, let's say, new inventions and technological innovations, right? Coming back to the topic, Ulf.
Yeah, what do you say? All true, all agree. I think through Corona, especially in Europe, people start changing. One thing is about capitalism. It's about the money. It's about the coins. And now I see it nowadays. I live in different countries, that people say, look, we have to take care of our environment. We have to take care about the climate. And maybe through this impact, we have to increase through education in terms of, look, if you behave like this, as you said, if you drive too fast, you pay the fine, and that's it. You don't care. Next time you drive again fast because it makes fun. But often it's like the young generation thinks what I see right now completely different. If you live in a bigger city, the people say, I don't need to make a driver's license. I take the train, I take the tram. And if I need the plane, I don't need even a car. And from my point of view, when I was 18, I was like, if I'm gonna be 18, I want to drive a car. So there is also already a mindset of thinking. And if we really take the point and pick them properly up, I can believe there is the willingness to change and to go in the different direction. And that's what I see in terms of everything, in terms of food, that why it has to be the cucumber like this? Because it's a European law, which is very stupid. Because it's just a capitalism law, because you can put 30 in a box instead of 20, which are have little curves. That is just a regulation. This is naive and this is stupid. I believe in it because it's driven on money. It's not driven on logical sense. And
I want the cucumber to be yellow. I just want yellow cucumbers.
maybe you get one day.
Exists.
Okay. Well, I agree with all of the panelists. Education, yes, must. But let's talk about if first started with certification of the devices. But it's not only devices; it's the complete chain. Start with the certification of devices. You have the more security controls on your applications. So the more vulnerable you use your handsets, that's, I believe, more than the devices. So then comes to the data, because eventually there are many players in the market. Actually, sorry, we as well, we look for the data monetizations. We mainly believe on the consumer behaviors and we monetize the data, and we are openly telling the market that, okay, we can help you to leverage your businesses. We do have a data. Now, so certification of devices, certification of the mobile apps, data security controls, and in the last, yes, regulatory. But regulatory, as you say, is that comes in the last. That's whenever it's something like a code word we say is like we in the Gulf, in the Middle East, it looks very much cooperating each other, but that's not the case. That's a different story. That we all looking to understand what's going on inside each other, like the entities. So the recent regulations comes in one of the Middle East countries that they start working to how to not to totally disconnect with the rest of the world, but how we can put a controls. But eventually, this seems to be a more collaborative approach. It didn't work, to be honest, because the more controls is the more vulnerable you are. It's not having the more sophisticated controls in place, because the more controls you place, it comes with the more vulnerabilities as well.
Again, as I stated in my question, it's always the fight, right? It's always the fight by the end of the day. All right, gentlemen, let's close this with a positive note, because I want to take you on this journey actually to realize what actually the threats are. And we know what the threats are. We all know what's happening, what's going on at Biboba, but we continue to, to drive a bit too fast until, there will be a big accident. And then, okay, then we'll think again, and we'll think twice, or then we change, right? So, but I think that the opportunities lies exactly in the IoT technical innovation which is there, because as Valentina's mentioned, and everybody actually, we are only at the start. I mean, that's what you just seeded something, as the chairman of China Mobile International mentioned, and I think it's true. The thing is, though, that we need to, still think and keep on thinking and get the best guys and educate them, and to reason in a normal way. In the Netherlands, we say with 2 feet on the ground, and not to dream too much and try to go too fast, but just provide those services decently, in a good way, in a good manner, that everybody will benefit from it. And yes, by the end of that day, everybody will also profit from it. That's what I think. And let's see let's just give us our best. But that will be my my closing statement. But Ulf, please, your closing statement. What should we look out for? What's out there? And please, for once, keep it positive.
Yeah, just positive. It is a journey that we take together. So we laugh together and we cry together. And if we fall, we stand up. And as long we do it together, we are on a good track. And I believe we should move closer together to handle all these topics through cultures, to different intentions. And yeah, let's try and go ahead.
And I think it's a good point that through partnerships, and this is also what we heard earlier today, that through partnerships, you know, we will achieve better and faster time to market. So I think that that's also an important thing. Arun, you're closing.
Okay, so
Crystal ball.
so a bit of a, let's say, strategy. So I don't know if you've heard of Say's law, which is that supply creates its own demand. I think that we as an industry should think more about, do we really need this stuff, right? And that will help us to focus down on what we should be building, right? And that should form the partnerships and the regulation and everything. I think what's happening is that the industry is coming out with these fantastic ideas and shoving it down, consumers' throats and saying, you've got to have this, you've got to have the latest, iPhone, you've got to have the latest, this, that, and the other. But actually, really, what is going to improve our lives? Yeah. Is it really making it? So I think if we start thinking about what technologies are really going to improve our lives, we talked about health tech, we talked about fintech, all this sort of great stuff, education tech, I think that's what we should be starting to think more about. And that, I think, in turn, when customers really need it, they'll pay for it. That's my sort of parting comment.
Okay, thank you. Shabir?
Stay positive as a consumer or as a business? I'm still positive. Stay positive as a consumer is to be positive and prepare yourself to be victimized. As we learn from the mistakes, that's what happened. But for the business point of view, yeah, stay positive, make more money as much as possible. It's nearly, it's not as easy it looks like. But on a serious note, let's say, yeah, technology is definitely leveraging the business and the personal life. That's true. And how we can take advantage of it, that's a question mark. Looks like in the next few years, maybe it will upset maybe the wet thing in the air, but it could be some new disruptions in the market and would change the way of business norms and your personal personal lifestyle as well. But if you flip the coin, yeah, there's a negative side, but see, if you look for the positivity, there are opportunities for everyone.
Thank you so much. And now some last famous words from Sam, please.
Thank you. Well, look, I think, as the Chinese always say, every risk presents opportunity. Even if we have said about the threats and stuff with the IoT, there's still the opportunity there, But fundamentally, I had to go back to Alf's early conversation we had before the panel starts. It's end of the day, it's the end user we serve. The end user serve what IoT could bring to day-to-day people. What IoT can bring to the businesses, improve their efficiency, etc. As for the consumer perspective, how IoT improve their lifestyle. There's some people may not know it. Like the iPhone age. I still remember. I mean, compare my age by now. So people say my Nokia's work just fine. Why would I use iPhone?
By the way, I come from the Nokia age, so don't start now, huh?
But when they use it, smartphones, that's the iPhone is the way to go. What I'm trying to say is those IoTs, there are usefulness for make the life easier, but people need to taste it. People need to. So that presents, for me, that does present a vast opportunity for the industry, for the IoT. So opportunity is there. How the industry work as a whole to address the current IoT, the problem as the industry as a whole, that is a question mark. Security-wise, there's so many different standards, how we can make the IoT from manufacturer to the platform, to the operators. It's easier to integrate. One device can work with different ops. There's lots of potential issue need to be addressed, but that also presents opportunity. So
Absolutely.
that's my my remark.
Okay, thank you so much. And with this, are there any questions? I mean, there you thank you so much. Fantastic. He'll bring you the microphone and then we got a question.
I say bring back the BlackBerry.
So one provocative question, because I like those. Given the size of China Mobile, how do the other operators hope to compete?
Okay, that probably me then.
Well, I know it's the other operators
I-
really, but
think look, the if you're talking about the 5G and stuff, it's pretty local, really. You know, you need you know, the one of the key element is the spectrum. Without spectrum, we can't do much. That's you know, there's some of the different industries got different competition. Yeah, the OTT industry probably big fishes stand, you know, one or two that's eat everybody else. But in the telecom industry, it's competition into different geographic locations and the countries. I don't think China Mobile, what China Mobile brings is experiences. As Valentin said, we bring the experiences. We are in East Asia in general, even Koreans, Japan. 5G deployment it's much earlier, much more coverage than Europe. That's just the current status. So that gives us experiences to what the mistakes we made, the successful stories we had. So that's the experience we could share. So I think in this space is a more collaborative way of, especially with the carrier community. It's not for me, it's not competition in that way. Even if we have the enterprise customers wants to have 5G deployment in Europe, we seek the collaboration with the local MNOs because, you know, we don't have a license.
and on the IoT security side, there are solutions that exist for the home user. I think it's down to the operator that's not providing them. I was selling them 4 years ago and it was very difficult to get the operators to pick them up and provide them to the end user. And it's still not happening. So I really do think it's the responsibility of the operator in the local countries to secure their consumer customers specifically, because they tend to be the less educated.
Absolutely.
And
But
I think
if they're
it's a real
not forced
mistake.
by law.
Well, I agree, but coming back to what you're doing your best for your customers and you'll make money as a result. I think the first person that actually goes for that will make more money because they'll be doing right by their end user customers. And
It's like in life.
The
Get
problem is they're going
quality.
for greed and rather than for service. And if they provide service with security, they'll get more customers. Simple.
Get the quality back into our lives.
Absolutely.
Another quantity.
It's the operators everywhere, and the UK specifically.
But anyway, I think the opportunities are enormous. They are big. It's just that we need to make sure that we serve our clients, our customers in the best possible and honest way. And then trust me, the whole IoT, it will fly. It will fly. And some people are, you know, ahead of us. I mean, well, if you hear the story from China Mobile, I mean, they're far ahead of us. Yeah, because they stuck their neck out earlier than the rest, you know. And some people, they say, well, you know what, let them try first and let's see what happens. That's normal business, you know. And they are far ahead in the towards, let's say, what I can tell you from Europe, let alone Africa and then the rest of the world. So, I mean, chapeau, they did it, and they're happy to share whatever went wrong and what is good with us. So we learn from each other, partner up with each other, educate each other. Let's keep it cool. And you know what? I'm happy to have a drink tonight at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to expect you there. Thank you so much for being with us.